Education Assistant at the First Unitarian Church of Salt Lake City. This week in RE, we are learning about becoming a more just community. Our UU of the Week, Henry Bergh, is a great example of that. He started the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, or the ASPCA. Later, he started the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children, which was the first organization to ever stand up for the rights of children. And Henry Bergh was a Unitarian. Henry was born in New York in 1811. He was born into wealth and became a man of leisure, always sporting a fancy silk top hat and a cane. He spent time in Europe trying his hand at writing, but was never terribly successful. When President Lincoln appointed him as a representative to the Tsar of Russia in 1863, he first began to notice cruelty towards animals, horses in particular. Before returning to America, he stopped in London to meet with the president of the Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals to study how that organization worked. Many animals were treated horribly in America. Horses were used for transportation, and they were often starved or denied water. And when their owners decided that the horses were no longer useful, they were often abandoned and just left to die. Henry Bergh famously confronted a horse owner who he caught beating a horse in the street. Henry said that animals had rights and presented a copy of the brand new law passed by the New York legislature defending the rights of animals. Henry Bergh had recently created the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, or the ASPCA, which was the first group in America to defend the rights of animals and try to make their lives better. Henry won the support of many of his fellow Unitarians, including Ralph Waldo Emerson and Louisa May Alcott. Henry Bergh even challenged P.T. Barnum, who was a Universalist, on the care and keeping of the animals in his circus, eventually winning over Barnum's support and improving the lives of the animals in the circus. Unitarian and Universalist churches began establishing and supporting multiple humane societies in America and in Canada. Now, Henry was occasionally criticized for putting so much energy into the lives of animals. So, when he learned about a 9-year-old girl who was being abused, he said, "Guys, that's not okay." And he tried to help, but there were no family members who were willing to intervene, and law enforcement would not get involved because at the time, children had no legal right to be treated humanely. Children, much like animals, were property, but they had even less protection under the law than the animals did. Henry called for the Society of Prevention of Cruelty to Children to be created, but when nobody answered the call, he did it himself. Henry Bergh created the first U.S. law protecting children from domestic abuse. People called Henry the Great Meddler and repeatedly threatened him to stay out of their business. But he just responded with a tip of his fancy top hat and a well-placed jab with his walking stick, and went right on defending the rights of children and animals until his death in 1888. Unitarian poet Henry Wadsworth Longfellow spoke at his funeral and said that Bergh was, quote, "among the noblest of the land, the friend of every friendless beast." I am so happy to add Henry Bergh to our ever-growing collection of Unitarian Universalists of the Week. To learn more about fascinating UUs, go to uuoftheweek.org and be sure to join us next time for another edition of Reimagining Chapel.